Hello! Welcome back to my channel, Callie's Kingdom. Oh my gosh, this is so crazy to be recording again. I haven't filmed a video in months. So, if you didn't know, I have been basically absent because I have started college! Yay! It's been super fun so far. Stressful too, but I have really enjoyed all of the relationships and connections that I've created at college, and I've had so much fun. If you guys didn't know, I'm going to college at a school called Rose-Hulman. It's a small engineering school, so I'm going for engineering design, which is a very unique major. My professor, she was the one who actually created this major, so it's really cool. I also really like the small school aspect, how there's not that many kids, 2,500-ish, and in my major there's only around 25-ish, maybe 25 kids total for my major, so I'll get to be with all those kids throughout the years as we go on through the school. So it's been really fun, but of course that meant I've not had time to film videos, and I have not had a lot of time to read. Good thing I had so much time to read earlier in the year, or I would not be hitting my goal of 50 books this year. Actually, did I set that as my goal? I think I did, but as you may or may not know that last year I hit 50 books, which was the biggest reading year ever. And right now I'm actually reading my 50th book right now, called Sorcery of Thorns, but we're not on that yet. I'm going to catch you up on the books that I have read since I have gone to college, which is not a lot because college is a lot, especially my school, Rose-Hulman. We are operating on the quarter system, which means that instead of having one class in a semester, you have that class in a quarter. So it's basically cramming 6 years of engineering into 4, which is a lot, but I love it, and there's so much to do, and I feel like I'm doing so much as well, all the activities, things like that, and I'm also freshman class president, so that's pretty cool too. But yeah, so in the past 10 weeks, I've been doing Calc 2, Physics 1, and my engineering design studio class, so it was a lot in 10 weeks, but I learned a lot too, and now I'm just glad it's over, and I'm doing pretty good, so. But anyway, that is why I have not had that much time to read. So I only read around 4 books, and I'm currently on my 5th one since I left. Hopefully, my goal is to finish this one, which is my 50th book, and then one more, because I don't think I'll have that much time, but I've had some time over break. Today I read maybe 40-ish pages in here, which is the most I've gotten to sit down and read in so long, and then maybe on the plane ride back I'll read some more, things like that. I figured out that I can finish this book by the end of the year, even if I just read 5 pages a day. So this one will for sure be done, and I'll for sure hit 50 books. But it'd be cool to hit 51 and have this be my biggest reading year yet, so hopefully I can do that. But if you haven't figured it out, I'm on fall break right now, which is why I'm back, which is why I have time to film 1 video, maybe 2. We'll see though. I'm not going to get ahead of myself. So, the 4 books I read were, I don't have them with me, but I do have my kind of spreadsheet almost that I made in my bullet journal where I keep track of them, are 1,000 Pieces of You by Claudia Gray, 4 Found Dead by Natalie D. Richards, What Happens After Midnight by K.L. Walther, and House of Roots and Ruin by Erin A. Craig. So it's kind of cool because there's a big variety. 1,000 Pieces of You is like a sci-fi with a romance subplot. 4 Found Dead is a thriller, I guess. What Happens After Midnight is like a contemporary young adult romance. Oh, all of these are young adult. I don't know why I specified that this is young adult. Maybe because I don't read adult romance, but I mostly read young adult, so I don't know. And then A House of Roots and Ruins, which is kind of it's not as it's a sequel in a duology, and the first one was more like dark fantasy. This one's dark fantasy too, but the first one was just way creepier, in my opinion, which I liked. And then, obviously right now I'm reading a fantasy. Well, I guess not obviously. You don't know that Sorcery of Thorns is a fantasy, but I mean, look at it. It's a fantasy. So it's cool how I had that variety. And for the most part, I enjoyed most of these books. I didn't straight out have any new 5 stars, new favorites. So, but I don't know if that's because I've only gotten to read bit by bit and I didn't really get to immerse myself in the story, because I've been at college. I've still been trying to read a couple pages before I go to sleep every night, and then reading sometimes when I have time over the weekends. Or one day, I literally barely had any homework, so I went outside with House of Roots and Runes, and I sat underneath a tree and I read like maybe 50 pages, like old times. And then I realized I forgot my key card inside, so I couldn't get back into my res hall. But that's a story for another time. But anyway, so the first book I read was basically, I started it before I left for college, but then I continued it and finished it there. And it was 1,000 Pieces of You by Claudia Gray. And it was a really good book. My friend, she loves the series. It's like her 5 stars, her ultimate favorite series. And I could see myself really, really, really loving it if I read it maybe a different time. But since I didn't get that like as invested, I'm thinking like 4, maybe 4.5 stars, probably more like 4.5, because I think it was just like the whole putting down, picking it up. I went like weeks without reading it because I just went to college, things like that. But I'm going to give it a 4.5 star because it was a really good book, and I really want to continue on with this series. It's about a girl. Oh, what's her name? Oh, now I'm blanking on her name. I know her name. It's like a cool name. Marguerite, a girl named Marguerite, and her parents are like physicists, and they basically created something called the Firebird, and this can like transport people to different dimensions. But then her dad is killed, and the one like grad student who's working with her parents steals the Firebird and like leaps to another dimension. So then Marguerite and the other grad student, they get these 2 like prototypes of the Firebird, and then they leap after him to go after him into different dimensions. And it's so cool to see them explore like all these different dimensions and like see the story unravel. And like I feel like I need to read more sci-fi, but maybe more of the specific kind of sci-fi, like almost low sci-fi. Not like the big like space operas. That's what my dad loves. The like sweeping grand stories, takes place over thousands and thousands of years. I like to follow one character, but every sci-fi I've read, I've really enjoyed. I don't know if it's just that I don't read a lot, so when I do, I go for the ones that sound really interesting. But like Skyward back here, love. I guess that's a little more like high sci-fi out of the sci-fi that I've read, but still love. Lunar Chronicles, love. This book, it was really good, and I can't wait to continue on with the series, because I can see myself, like, now that I've got into the worlds, I've gotten to know the characters, there was, like, this big twist at the end that was so good. I can see myself enjoying the second and third book so much, and hopefully one of those will be a 5-star, but anyway, that was my favorite book, probably, that I've read by the time I was away at college. The next one, not so much. So, it is Four Found Dead by Natalie D. Richards, and basically it's these people, I think there's like maybe 7 of them, they have their last night at the movie theater, and then, I don't know, this might be a spoiler, so it kind of happens at the beginning. I wouldn't recommend this book. I rated it 2 stars, so if you don't care that much, then I think you can listen and be fine, because this all happens at the beginning, but I'm probably going to spoil some of this book, so maybe just skip forward a little bit, okay? Now, anyone who doesn't care about being spoiled, their boss basically, like, murders this one girl. And they're like, oh my gosh. And I was like, okay, it can't be the boss. Because they're escaping. They're running away into the mall. Like, everything's boarded up. This mall's about to be torn down, which is why it's their last day at work. And I was like, it's got to be one of the other ones. There's got to be some big twist. It wasn't the boss, because they didn't see him kill her. They just were like, yeah, the boss did it, because he got all mad and he was around the like crime scene. But there's another girl who was found with her, and I was like, it would be crazy if she did it, and like all these secrets started being unraveled and like things like that. But no, there was no twist. The whole time it literally was just the boss, and they were just trying to run away and escape from him, which honestly, it wasn't even that interesting. They were trying to make it scary, and it kind of was a little bit, but it wasn't. I was in here for this whole murder mystery thriller, who did it, 4 people dead, blah blah blah. But no, it was literally just the boss the whole time, and that was it. There was like one secret revealed at the end, but it literally wasn't that interesting. Anyway, I mean, it was a little interesting, but like, it just was such a boring thriller, which should not be in the same sentence, because it's like supposed to be a thriller, making you on the edge of your seat. Who did it? What's going on? People are dying. But I just never wanted to read it, which I think also was why I didn't read a lot too, because I like out of going out and like hanging out with people or journaling or roller skating around the lake or doing these fun activities or reading this really not interesting book, I was going to pick the other option, obviously. So that's another reason probably what slowed down my progress by a lot. And then I got to What Happens After Midnight by K.L. Walther. I read another book by her, The Summer of Broken Rules, which I loved. It was such a cute contemporary romance, and I don't love a lot of like contemporary romances, and it was 5 stars for me. This one was 4 stars. It was pretty good, but I never really was that connected, I guess, as much with the 2 main characters' like relationship, unlike in The Summer of Broken Rules, where it was just so cute the whole time and such a fun premise. This was a pretty cool premise too, though. This is what I like about K.L. Walther's contemporary romances. They aren't just like normal, like, oh, we love each other, oh, but he won't want me, blah, blah, blah. There's like a different plot going on at the same time. So there's someone who's the jester, which is this one guy. I'm literally forgetting his name. It will come to me. Tag? Yeah, Tag. This one guy, Tag, who used to date the main character. I think her name was Lily. Sorry about the names. Normally I know them, but I think since I read these books over a spread out amount of time, like, I don't know. Just some forgetting. But, they used to date, but then she broke up with him because he was getting popular and there were a bunch of other girls around him, blah, blah, blah. So, but then he invites her to be part of the team of, like, the jester team who commits a prank. And it's against this one guy who Lily is now going to prom with, who's the leader of the yearbook committee. So prank is, like, stealing the yearbooks and, like, putting a whole scavenger hunt together of leading them to where the yearbooks are hidden. So it was a cool premise. I really liked it. It was good for what it was, but it wasn't like an amazing book or one that I'll keep coming back to. So 4 stars. The next book was also 4 stars, but it was a little bit more disappointing for me. It was A House of Roots and Ruins, which I read A House of Salt and Sorrows, and it was so good. 5 stars, one of my favorite books of last year. So I was so excited for this sequel and this duology. And it kind of let me down a little bit. Like, it wasn't as creepy, as, like, atmospheric, or anything as A House of Salt and Sorrows. And it kind of felt like it was just a whole other book completely. I mean, it does take place years later about the youngest sister Verity and her going off into the world, and it was good for what it was. It felt like one of those like young adult fantasies that you're like, oh, this is a pretty good book, but then you read it and then you don't really come back to it. Kind of like What Happens After Midnight. Like, it was 4 stars, it was good for what it was, but it was just a little disappointing as the sequel to A House of Salt and Sorrows. And also, I read Small Favors, another book by this author, so good. So I was expecting something amazing, and then I was not given something amazing, which I think is something that has shown a pattern this year, such as the 3rd book in the Good Girl's Guide to Murder series. I was so excited, but then it kind of fell flat for me and went in a direction I didn't like. I love Marissa Meyer, but then her book Gilded this year was slow and so unlike her other books, so I was like disappointed. So it was a good book still, and a beautiful book. Like, I went to Walmart to buy a mouse for me to do, like, SolidWorks for in my school. SolidWorks is, like, a 3D modeling software, and it works a lot better if you have, like, a mouse for your computer. So I went to buy that, and then I saw they had a book section, so of course I stopped to look through there, and they had A House of Roots and Ruin. It was just too pretty to pass up, so I bought it. And I'm glad I read it. It was a good book, but it just was disappointing for the sequel to this, like, amazing first book. And then, finally, I am on Sorcery of Thorns, which I'm not finished yet. I'm about halfway through, and it's good. It will probably be around 4 stars again, like a good, enjoyable read for what it is, a young adult fantasy. Of course, the ending could sway that either way. It could go down to 3 stars if the ending is terrible. It could probably go up to 4.5 stars if the ending is great. I can't see this being a 5-star book, though, but I really enjoyed it, and I got this book at Goodwill for like $2, so that's a win. But thank you so much for staying with me through this time that I have not posted a lot of videos. I'm so glad that you watched, and thank you for watching. It was really fun to pull out my camera, or my phone camera, and film again after all of these months. And stay tuned, because during my winter break, I will be filming another video, a video kind of like what I did for the start of my channel, where I rank all 50 books, hopefully 51, that I've read this year from worst to best. And I'm excited. I have 6 5-star books this year, much like last year, and I love the theme. And maybe there will be a 7th. Not with this one, but maybe the last book of the year I will read and I will love. And then I'll probably also do a little like TBR video for the start of the year, what books I want to read next year, which I probably won't put too many, maybe like 5 to 8-ish books, maybe like 9, that I want to read for next year, because next year my goal is not 50 books, not at all. I have barely been able to read since I was in college, so I think my little challenge for myself will probably be 24 books for 2024. Shout out to my friend Brinley, because she told me to do that, because she's doing that too. So I'll probably also make a TBR video for that. And then maybe I'll be doing little like every 2-month wrap-ups, hopefully, because I have another break at the end of February, beginning of March, so I can probably do a wrap-up for January and February then. And then maybe at the end of the school year, which I think is beginning of May, I can do a wrap-up for March and April. And then who knows what this summer will be. I'll either be creating a whole lot of videos, or I'll be away on an internship, fingers crossed if I get one at the career fair, or I'll be working at Operation Catapult, the camp at my engineering school that they have, which I actually went to, and it was super fun. So I think it'd be cool to be a counselor, or none of the above. Who knows? Who knows what will happen? But we'll see if I have time for videos then. But thank you so much for sticking around, and maybe I'm kind of feeling that I might film another video right now. So stay tuned, because I'll be posting that probably next week or 2 weeks from now. Spread it out a little bit. But anyway, like I keep saying, thank you for watching, and then I keep getting off on a tangent. Bye!